Doctor refuses treatment to autistic girl, then learns she's a medical prodigy. The waiting room was a symphony of hushed murmurs, the occasional cough, and the clicking of pens on clipboards. Dr. Harris glanced at the clock on the wall, feeling the familiar twinge of impatience that marked the end of a long day. It was his last appointment, and he was ready to wrap things up. He barely looked up from his notes when the door opened and a young girl walked in, holding the hand of a woman he assumed was her mother. The girl's movements were deliberate, her head tilted slightly as she scanned the room with wide, curious eyes. She clutched a small book to her chest, its edges worn from countless page turns. Her mother, on the other hand, looked harried, her eyes darting around the room as though bracing for judgment. "Good evening," the woman began, her voice soft but firm. "I'm Emma Harper, and this is my daughter, Lily." Dr. Harris nodded, his expression unreadable. "Please, take a seat." As the two sat down, Emma began to explain Lily's condition. "My daughter is on the autism spectrum," she said, her voice carrying a mix of defensiveness and weariness. "She's been experiencing some health issues recently, frequent headaches, dizziness, and fatigue. I've been to 3 doctors already, but no one can seem to figure out what's wrong." Dr. Harris leaned back in his chair, his pen poised over the notepad in front of him. He glanced at Lily, who was now flipping through the pages of her book, her lips moving silently as she read. "What kind of tests have been done so far?" he asked, his tone clipped. "Blood work, MRIs, even a neurological exam," Emma replied. "But everything comes back normal. I'm worried there's something they're missing." Dr. Harris sighed, his pen tapping against the desk. "Mrs. Harper, I understand your concern, but sometimes symptoms like these can be behavioral rather than medical. Children on the spectrum often have sensory sensitivities or stress responses that can manifest physically." Emma bristled at his words. "I'm not here to discuss my daughter's autism," she said firmly. "I'm here because she's sick and no one can tell me why." Dr. Harris's gaze flicked back to Lily, who had now closed her book and was staring intently at a medical chart on the wall. He frowned. "Look, I can refer you to a specialist, but I can't promise they'll find anything new. These cases can be complicated." "Complicated doesn't mean unsolvable," Emma shot back, her voice rising slightly. "Lily is not just some case file. She's my daughter, and I need someone to take her seriously." The tension in the room was palpable. Dr. Harris opened his mouth to respond, but before he could say anything, Lily spoke for the first time. "It's not sensory," she said, her voice quiet but clear. Both adults turned to look at her, surprised. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" Emma asked gently. Lily pointed to the chart on the wall, her small finger tracing over a diagram of the human brain. "The headaches come from here," she said, tapping the temporal lobe. "And the dizziness starts when I move too fast. It feels like there's something pressing, but it's not in my head. It's lower." Dr. Harris raised an eyebrow, his curiosity piqued despite himself. "What do you mean by lower, Lily?" he asked, his tone softening slightly. Lily hesitated for a moment, then pointed to her neck. "Here," she said. "It feels tight sometimes, like something's stuck." Emma stared at her daughter, a mixture of pride and concern etched on her face. "She's very observant," she explained, glancing at Dr. Harris. "She's always been like this, noticing things most people wouldn't." Dr. Harris leaned forward, his skepticism giving way to intrigue. "Lily, can I ask you a question? Do you ever feel numbness or tingling anywhere else? Your arms, your hands?" Lily nodded. "Sometimes. Mostly in my left hand." Emma's eyes widened. "She never told me that." Lily shrugged, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "I didn't think it was important." Dr. Harris's mind was racing. He grabbed a blank sheet of paper and began sketching a diagram, marking points on the body and jotting down notes. "It could be something vascular," he murmured, half to himself. "Or maybe a pinched nerve." He stopped abruptly, catching himself. He had already made up his mind before they walked into the room, assuming this would be another case of a parent overreacting. But now, as he looked at Lily, he realized there was something different about her. She wasn't just observant, she was precise. Every word she spoke carried weight, as if she had carefully considered it before saying it out loud. "All right," he said finally, setting his pen down. Let's start with some basic tests. Blood pressure, reflexes, things like that. It'll help narrow things down. Emma exhaled, her shoulders relaxing slightly. Thank you. Lily remained calm as Dr. Harris conducted the tests, following his instructions with quiet focus. When he checked her reflexes, she didn't flinch, her gaze steady and unblinking. When he measured her blood pressure, she asked what the numbers meant, her curiosity evident. By the time the tests were done, Dr. Harris was thoroughly puzzled. Everything looks normal, he admitted, his brow furrowed. But that doesn't mean there isn't something going on. I'd like to order some additional tests, a full panel, maybe an ultrasound of the neck. Emma nodded. Whatever you think is necessary. Lily tilted her head, her eyes narrowing slightly. What about the carotid artery? She asked. Dr. Harris blinked, taken aback. Why do you ask? It's in the neck, she said simply. And if it's blocked, it could make my head hurt? Emma looked at her daughter in astonishment. Lily, where did you learn that? Books, Lily replied with a shrug. And the internet? Dr. Harris stared at the young girl, his earlier dismissal of her as a mere child fading rapidly. You're right, he said slowly. A blockage in the carotid artery could cause those symptoms. I'll add a Doppler ultrasound to the list of tests. Lily nodded, satisfied. Thank you. As they left the office, Emma's mind was racing. She felt a flicker of hope, a tiny light in the darkness that had consumed her since Lily's symptoms began. But she also couldn't shake the nagging feeling that there was more to her daughter than even she understood. The drive home from the clinic was quiet, but the silence in the car wasn't uncomfortable. Emma occasionally glanced at Lily through the rearview mirror, her daughter calmly flipping through her favorite book, completely unfazed by the day's events. But Emma couldn't stop replaying the conversation in the doctor's office, particularly the way Lily had so confidently pinpointed her symptoms and suggested a potential cause. It was uncanny, almost surreal. You did really well today, Emma said finally, breaking the silence. Lily didn't look up from her book. I just said what I felt. That's not special. Emma smiled softly. It's not just what you said, sweetheart. It's how you said it. You were very clear. Even Dr. Harris seemed impressed. Lily paused, considering her mother's words. He didn't believe me at first. No, he didn't, Emma admitted. But I think you changed his mind. Lily shrugged. I don't care if he believes me. I just want to know what's wrong. Emma's heart ached at her daughter's matter-of-fact tone. Lily's world was one of logic and facts, where emotions often came second. But Emma knew her daughter cared deeply, even if she didn't always show it in the ways people expected. And Emma cared too, enough for the both of them. The next morning, Emma received a call from Dr. Harris's office. The tests had been scheduled for the following week, and the receptionist reassured her that the process would be smooth. As Emma hung up, she felt a mix of relief and trepidation. She couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much larger journey. That evening, Emma found Lily at the dining table, surrounded by an assortment of books and printouts. The titles ranged from Anatomy for Beginners to Advances in Neurology, their pages filled with diagrams and medical terminology that most adults would struggle to comprehend. What are you working on? Emma asked, leaning over to look at the notes Lily had scrawled in her meticulous handwriting. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with me, Lily said simply, not looking up. If the tests don't show anything, I need to have a backup plan. Emma's breath caught. It wasn't the first time Lily had surprised her with her determination, but this felt different. It was as though her daughter had taken on the role of her own doctor, piecing together clues that no one else could see. You know, that's what the doctors are for, Emma said gently. You don't have to figure it all out on your own. I know, Lily replied, her tone patient but firm. But doctors can make mistakes. They don't always listen. Like Dr. Harris. Emma frowned, remembering the way Dr. Harris had initially dismissed Lily's symptoms as behavioral. You're right, she said softly. But I think he's starting to listen now. Lily set down her pen and looked at her mother. Do you think he'll figure it out? I hope so, Emma said, brushing a strand of hair from her daughter's face. But no matter what happens, we'll keep trying. Together. Lily nodded, her focus already returning to her books. Emma watched her for a moment longer, marveling at her daughter's quiet brilliance. She knew Lily was different, special in ways that most people didn't understand. But it wasn't until now that she truly realized just how extraordinary her daughter was. When the day of the tests finally arrived, Emma and Lily found themselves back in Dr. Harris's office. The atmosphere felt different this time, less tense, more collaborative. Dr. Harris greeted them with a nod, his demeanor softer than before. "We'll start with the Doppler ultrasound," he explained, leading them to the examination room. "It's non-invasive and should give us a clear picture of what's going on in the carotid arteries." Lily lay down on the examination table without hesitation, her gaze fixed on the ceiling as the technician applied the cool gel to her neck. The machine emitted a series of soft beeps as the technician moved the probe along Lily's skin, the monitor displaying intricate images of the blood vessels. Dr. Harris stood nearby, his arms crossed as he watched the screen intently. Emma held her breath, her eyes darting between her daughter and the monitor, searching for any sign of what the technician might be seeing. "There," the technician said suddenly, pointing to the screen. "Do you see that?" Dr. Harris stepped closer, his brow furrowing. "Yes, I see it. There's a narrowing in the artery, probably a partial blockage. It's not severe, but it could definitely explain some of the symptoms." Emma's heart leapt. "You mean you found something?" Dr. Harris nodded. "It's called carotid artery stenosis. It's rare in someone Lily's age, but it's not impossible. We'll need to run a few more tests to confirm, but this gives us a direction to focus on." Lily sat up, wiping the gel from her neck with a towel. "So I was right?" she said matter-of-factly. Dr. Harris smiled, a hint of admiration in his expression. "You were." As they left the examination room, Emma felt a surge of hope for the first time in weeks. They finally had answers, or at least the beginnings of them, and it was all thanks to Lily's keen observations. Over the next few days, Dr. Harris's attitude toward Lily shifted noticeably. He began treating her not just as a patient but as an equal, someone whose insights were invaluable to the diagnostic process. He asked her questions, encouraged her to share her thoughts, and even loaned her a medical textbook from his personal collection. For Lily, it was a dream come true. She devoured the textbook in a matter of days, her mind absorbing its contents with astonishing speed. She began asking Dr. Harris questions that surprised even him, delving into topics far beyond what he expected from an 11-year-old. "You know," he said one afternoon, as they reviewed Lily's test results together, "you might have a future in medicine. You have a natural talent for this." Lily tilted her head, considering his words. "Maybe," she said, "but I still have a lot to learn." "That's what makes you so remarkable," Dr. Harris said, his tone filled with genuine respect. "You're always willing to learn." Emma watched the exchange with a mixture of pride and awe. She had always known her daughter was extraordinary, but seeing her shine in this environment was something else entirely. It was as though Lily had found her calling, a place where her unique abilities could truly flourish. By the end of the week, Dr. Harris confirmed the diagnosis: carotid artery stenosis caused by a rare genetic condition. The treatment plan would involve medication to manage the symptoms and prevent further complications, with the possibility of surgery down the line if necessary. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was a start. "You were the key to this diagnosis, Lily," Dr. Harris said during their final meeting. "Your observations, your questions, they made all the difference." Lily looked up at him, her expression calm but proud. "I just wanted to help." "You did more than help," Dr. Harris said. "You taught me something important, that sometimes the best doctors are the ones who listen." Emma reached over and squeezed her daughter's hand, her eyes shining with tears. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart." Lily smiled, a small but genuine smile that lit up her face. For the first time in weeks, Emma felt a sense of peace. They still had challenges ahead, but with Lily's brilliance and determination, she knew they could face anything. The ride home after the final meeting with Dr. Harris was filled with a quiet sense of relief. For weeks, Emma had felt as though she were walking a tightrope with no safety net, unsure of what the future held for Lily. Now, with a diagnosis and a plan in place, the weight pressing down on her chest had lightened, if only slightly. She glanced at Lily in the rearview mirror, the corners of her lips lifting at the sight of her daughter deeply engrossed in the medical textbook Dr. Harris had lent her. "You know," Emma said, her voice breaking the peaceful silence, "not every 11-year-old could impress a doctor like you did." Lily didn't look up from her book. "I wasn't trying to impress him," she said matter-of-factly. "I just wanted to figure out what was wrong." Emma chuckled softly. "And you did. But I think you did more than that, Lily. You showed him that he shouldn't underestimate you, or anyone, for that matter." Lily paused, her eyes lingering on the page in front of her. "Do you think people always underestimate me because I'm autistic?" Emma's hands tightened on the steering wheel. It wasn't the first time Lily had asked a question like this, but it never got easier to hear. "Some people might," she admitted, her tone careful. "But that's their problem, not yours. Anyone who takes the time to know you will see how amazing you are." Lily nodded slowly, her gaze returning to the textbook. "I don't think Dr. Harris will underestimate me again." Emma smiled. "No, I don't think he will." Over the next few weeks, Lily's health gradually began to improve. The medication Dr. Harris prescribed helped alleviate her headaches and dizziness, allowing her to focus on her favorite activities without interruption. But more than that, the experience at the clinic had sparked something new in Lily, a sense of purpose. She spent hours every day poring over medical textbooks and research articles, her small desk buried under piles of paper and sticky notes. At first, Emma had tried to encourage her to take breaks, to go outside and play like other kids her age. But she quickly realized that this wasn't just a passing interest for Lily, it was a passion. One evening, as Emma was tidying up the living room, she heard the soft murmur of Lily's voice coming from her room. Curious, she peeked through the slightly open door and saw her daughter sitting at her desk, practicing what appeared to be a mock consultation with one of her stuffed animals. "All right, Mr. Bear," Lily said, adjusting the toy's scarf as though it were a medical gown. "Let's take a look at your chart. You've been having some trouble with your tummy, is that right?" Emma covered her mouth to stifle a laugh, her heart swelling with affection. She stepped into the room, leaning against the doorframe. "How's Mr. Bear doing?" Lily looked up, her face lighting up with a rare smile. "He's fine. Just a little too much honey." Emma laughed, crossing the room to sit on the edge of the bed. "You know, if this doctor thing doesn't work out, you'd make an excellent comedian." Lily tilted her head, considering her mother's words. "I don't think I'd be very good at that. But I do think I could be a good doctor." Emma's laughter softened into a warm smile. "I think you'd be an incredible doctor, Lily. You have the brains, the determination, and the heart." Lily's expression grew serious. "Do you think I'd be able to help people like Dr. Harris helped me?" "I don't just think so, I know so," Emma said. "You've already proven that you have what it takes." Lily nodded, her small hands clutching the edge of her desk. "Then I'm going to do it. I'm going to be a doctor." As Lily dove deeper into her newfound ambition, Emma found herself grappling with a mix of pride and concern. She had always encouraged Lily to dream big, but the reality of her daughter pursuing such a challenging path was daunting. Would the world be kind to someone as unique as Lily? Would they see her brilliance, or would they only focus on the ways she was different? Her fears came to a head one afternoon when Lily returned home from school visibly upset. She dropped her backpack by the door and marched straight to her room without a word, slamming the door behind her. Emma followed, knocking gently before pushing the door open. "Lily? What happened?" Lily was sitting on the floor, her knees pulled to her chest. "They laughed at me," she said, her voice trembling. "When I told them I wanted to be a doctor, they laughed." Emma's heart sank. She knelt beside her daughter, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "Who laughed at you?" "Some kids in my class," Lily said, her eyes welling with tears. "They said I couldn't be a doctor because I'm autistic. They said I'm too weird." Emma felt a surge of anger on Lily's behalf, but she kept her voice calm. "Lily, listen to me. Those kids don't know what they're talking about. They don't see you the way I do, or the way Dr. Harris does. You are smart, brave, and capable of anything you set your mind to. But what if they're right?" Lily whispered. "What if I can't do it?" "They're not right," Emma said firmly. "And you've already proven that. Remember how you figured out what was wrong with you before anyone else did?" That's not something just anyone can do, Lily. That's something special. Lily sniffled, her gaze softening. Do you really think I can do it? I don't just think so, I know so, Emma said, echoing her earlier words. And I'll be here every step of the way to help you. Over time, Lily's confidence began to grow. She started spending more time at the clinic, shadowing Dr. Harris whenever her schedule allowed. At first, Emma had been hesitant to let her daughter spend so much time in such a demanding environment, but Dr. Harris had been nothing but encouraging. She has a gift, he told Emma one afternoon. The way she thinks, the way she observes, she sees things most people miss. If she's serious about pursuing medicine, she's already ahead of the game. Emma smiled, her chest swelling with pride. She's always been like that. Ever since she was little. Well, I can tell you this much, Dr. Harris said. If Lily ever decides to go to medical school, I'll personally write her a recommendation letter. Lily's time at the clinic became a source of joy and purpose for her. She asked endless questions, took detailed notes, and even started suggesting potential diagnoses during patient consultations, always with Dr. Harris's supervision, of course. The staff quickly grew fond of her, marveling at her intelligence and dedication. One day, as Lily and Dr. Harris were reviewing a patient's chart, he turned to her with a thoughtful expression. You know, Lily, I've worked with a lot of medical students over the years. Some of them were brilliant, but they didn't have your passion. Lily looked up at him, her brow furrowed. What do you mean? I mean that being a good doctor isn't just about knowing facts, Dr. Harris said. It's about caring for people, understanding them, and listening to them. And you, Lily, are already better at that than most doctors I know. Lily's lips curved into a small smile. Thank you. As Emma watched from the doorway, her heart swelled with emotion. She had always known her daughter was extraordinary, but seeing her thrive in this environment was more than she could have ever hoped for. Lily wasn't just surviving, she was shining. The journey was far from over. There were still challenges ahead, and Emma knew the road to becoming a doctor would be long and difficult. But as she watched Lily confidently explain a medical concept to a group of adults twice her age, she knew one thing for certain. Lily was going to change the world. Months passed, and Lily's visits to the clinic became a regular part of her routine. She was more than just an eager observer now. She was an integral part of the learning environment. Dr. Harris and the staff often referred to her as Dr. Lily in jest, though Emma could see in their eyes that they meant it as more than a joke. Lily's intuition and focus had earned her a level of respect that few her age could ever imagine. One day, as Emma was folding laundry at home, her phone buzzed with a call from the clinic. She answered it quickly, her heart racing with worry. It was Dr. Harris on the other end, but his tone was far from panicked. Emma, he began, I was wondering if you and Lily would be able to come in tomorrow. There's a patient I'd like her to meet. Emma's brow furrowed. A patient? Why would you want Lily to meet them? Dr. Harris chuckled softly. Because I think she might have some insights that could help. It's a unique case and, well, let's just say Lily has a way of seeing things that others don't. Emma hesitated for a moment. While she trusted Dr. Harris implicitly, the idea of her daughter being involved in a real case felt daunting. I'll ask her, she said finally. But are you sure about this? I'm sure, Dr. Harris said firmly. This could be a great opportunity for her, and for the patient. After hanging up, Emma found Lily at her desk as usual, surrounded by books and papers. When she explained the call, Lily's eyes lit up with excitement. He wants me to help? Lily asked, her voice filled with wonder. He thinks you might have some ideas, Emma said with a small smile. What do you think? I think I want to try, Lily said without hesitation. If I can help, I should. Emma nodded, her heart swelling with pride. All right then, we'll go tomorrow. The following morning, Emma and Lily arrived at the clinic. Dr. Harris greeted them at the door, his demeanor calm but purposeful. He led them into one of the examination rooms, where a young boy sat on the table, his mother standing protectively beside him. The boy couldn't have been more than 8 years old, his thin frame dwarfed by the oversized hospital gown he wore. This is Ethan, Dr. Harris said, introducing the boy and his mother. Ethan's been experiencing some symptoms that we haven't been able to diagnose yet. I thought you might be able to help us figure things out, Lily. Lily's eyes widened, but she stepped forward without hesitation. She met Ethan's gaze, her expression calm and reassuring. Hi, Ethan. I'm Lily. Can you tell me what's been bothering you? Ethan hesitated, glancing nervously at his mother. She nodded encouragingly and he turned back to Lily. My stomach hurts a lot, he said quietly. And sometimes it feels like I can't breathe right. Lily tilted her head, her gaze thoughtful. Does it hurt after you eat or all the time? Mostly after I eat, Ethan said. And sometimes my chest feels tight, like there's a big weight on it. Lily nodded, her hands clasped in front of her. Do you feel tired a lot too? Ethan's eyes widened. Yeah. How did you know? I just guessed, Lily said, her tone matter-of-fact. She turned to Dr. Harris. Have you checked his eosinophils? Dr. Harris blinked, clearly taken aback. Eosinophils? Lily nodded. It sounds like eosinophilic esophagitis. It's when white blood cells build up in the esophagus because of allergies. It can make your chest hurt and your stomach upset. Dr. Harris exchanged a glance with Ethan's mother, who looked equally surprised. That's an interesting thought, he said slowly. It's not something we considered. You should test for it, Lily said confidently. Just to be sure. Dr. Harris smiled, his admiration for Lily evident. I think we'll do just that. As they left the room, Ethan's mother stopped to thank Lily, her voice filled with emotion. You're an incredible young lady, she said. Thank you for listening to Ethan. Lily simply nodded, her expression calm but pleased. Emma placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder, her pride nearly overwhelming. You did amazing, sweetheart, she whispered. That evening, Emma received a call from Dr. Harris. You were right, Emma, he said, his voice filled with awe. Lily was right. Ethan's tests confirmed eosinophilic esophagitis. Emma felt a lump rise in her throat. She really figured it out? She did, Dr. Harris said. And because of her, we can start treating him right away. She made a real difference today. When Emma shared the news with Lily, her daughter simply nodded, her reaction as understated as ever. But later that night, as Emma passed by Lily's room, she saw her daughter sitting at her desk, a small smile playing on her lips as she wrote in her notebook. It was a rare moment of quiet pride, and Emma couldn't help but feel that this was only the beginning of something extraordinary. As weeks turned into months, word of Lily's brilliance began to spread. Dr. Harris often invited her to observe unique cases at the clinic, and other doctors began to take notice of the young girl with the uncanny ability to spot patterns and make connections that others missed. Lily's passion for medicine grew stronger with each passing day, her notebooks filled with meticulous observations and sketches. One day, Dr. Harris approached Emma with an idea. I've been speaking with some colleagues, he said. There's a summer program for gifted students at the local university. It's designed for high schoolers, but I think Lily would be an incredible fit. Emma's eyes widened. Do you really think they'd accept her? She's only 11. They'd be foolish not to, Dr. Harris said with a smile. Lily's talents are exceptional, Emma. Programs like this exist to nurture young minds like hers. When Emma shared the idea with Lily, her daughter's eyes lit up with excitement. Do you think I'd learn new things there? She asked. I'm sure you would, Emma said. And I think it would be a great opportunity for you. Lily nodded, her mind already racing with possibilities. Then I want to do it. The weeks leading up to the program were filled with anticipation and preparation. Emma worked tirelessly to gather the necessary materials, while Lily threw herself into her studies with renewed vigor. When the first day of the program finally arrived, Emma walked Lily to the campus, her heart swelling with pride as she watched her daughter step confidently into a room filled with students twice her age. As the program progressed, Lily's abilities continued to shine. She quickly became a favorite among the professors, who marveled at her insight and determination. But more importantly, she found a sense of belonging among the other students, young people who shared her love of learning and her passion for discovery. For the first time, Lily felt truly understood. And for Emma, there was no greater joy than seeing her daughter thrive. The summer program became a turning point in Lily's life. For the first time, she was surrounded by people who shared her insatiable curiosity, her love of knowledge, and her drive to understand the world. The lectures, experiments, and projects challenged her in ways she had never experienced before, and she thrived under the guidance of professors who encouraged her to think beyond the boundaries of textbooks. Emma, too, began to feel a sense of relief and hope she hadn't known in years. Dropping Lily off at the university each morning became a ritual, and she would linger for a moment outside the classroom windows, watching her daughter engage with her peers and mentors. The way Lily's face lit up during discussions, her hand shooting up eagerly to answer questions, filled Emma with pride. One afternoon, as Emma sat in the waiting area outside Lily's classroom, a woman approached her with a kind smile. She was one of the professors from the program, her sharp eyes and confident demeanor radiating authority. "You must be Lily's mom," the woman said, extending a hand. "I'm Dr. Conway. I teach advanced neurobiology." Emma shook her hand, her smile polite but cautious. "Yes, I'm Emma. How's Lily doing?" Dr. Conway's smile widened. "She's remarkable. I've been teaching for over 20 years, and I've never met a student like her. Her ability to connect concepts and identify patterns is beyond anything I've seen, especially at her age." Emma felt her chest swell with pride. She's always been different. But in the best way. She has the potential to go far, Dr. Conway said, her tone serious now. "I'd like to recommend her for a mentorship program we run for exceptional students. It's highly competitive, but I'm confident she'd be accepted. The program pairs young minds with leading researchers in their fields. I believe it could open doors for her." Emma's heart raced. "That sounds amazing, but she's only 11. "That's precisely why it's so extraordinary," Dr. Conway said. "Lily is already thinking like a scientist. With the right guidance, there's no telling what she could achieve." Emma nodded, her mind swirling with thoughts of what this could mean for Lily's future. "I'll talk to her about it." "Thank you, Dr. Conway." As the professor walked away, Emma felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. She wanted Lily to have every opportunity to succeed, but she also worried about the pressures such a path might bring. Would Lily be able to balance her aspirations with the challenges of growing up? Would the world be kind to her as she pursued her dreams? That evening, as they sat at the dinner table, Emma brought up Dr. Conway's offer. Lily listened intently, her fork pausing mid-air as her mother explained the mentorship program. "So, I'd work with a real researcher?" Lily asked, her eyes wide with excitement. "Yes," Emma said. "It's a big commitment, but I think it could be an incredible experience for you." Lily's face lit up. "I want to do it." Emma smiled, though she couldn't help but feel a pang of worry. "It's going to be a lot of hard work, Lily. Are you sure you're ready for that?" "I'm ready," Lily said firmly. "I want to learn everything I can. And if this helps me become a doctor someday, it's worth it." Emma reached across the table to squeeze her daughter's hand. "All right then, let's make it happen." A month later, Lily was officially accepted into the mentorship program. Her mentor, Dr. Patel, was a renowned researcher in pediatric neurology, and their first meeting left a lasting impression on both of them. Dr. Patel was a kind, soft-spoken man with a passion for teaching. He greeted Lily with a warm smile, gesturing for her to sit beside him at his cluttered desk. "So, you're the prodigy everyone's been talking about," he said, his tone light and teasing. Lily shrugged, her cheeks flushing slightly. "I don't know about that. I just like learning." Dr. Patel chuckled. "That's the best place to start. Now, tell me, what's your favorite area of science?" "Neurobiology," Lily said without hesitation. "I like understanding how the brain works." Dr. Patel's eyes lit up. "Well, you're in the right place. Let's get started." Under Dr. Patel's guidance, Lily was introduced to the complexities of the human brain, learning about everything from neural pathways to the mechanisms behind sensory processing. She soaked up the knowledge like a sponge, her mind racing with new ideas and questions. But the mentorship wasn't just about academics. Dr. Patel also encouraged Lily to think about how her unique perspective as someone on the autism spectrum could shape her approach to medicine. "You see the world differently, Lily," he said during one of their sessions. "And that's a gift. It allows you to notice things others might overlook." Don't ever let anyone make you feel like your differences are a disadvantage. Lily nodded, his words resonating deeply with her. For years, she had struggled to understand why she felt so out of place in a world that often seemed confusing and overwhelming. But now, she was beginning to see her autism not as a barrier, but as a strength. As Lily's confidence grew, so did her determination to help others. She began volunteering at the clinic on weekends, assisting Dr. Harris with patients and sharing her insights whenever she could. The staff quickly came to rely on her sharp mind and keen observations, treating her as an equal despite her age. One afternoon, as Lily and Dr. Harris were reviewing a particularly complex case, he turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "Lily," he said, "have you ever thought about giving a presentation on your experiences? I think other doctors could learn a lot from your perspective." Lily tilted her head, considering his suggestion. "What would I talk about?" "Anything you want," Dr. Harris said. "Your journey, your observations, how you approach problems. Whatever feels meaningful to you." Lily nodded slowly. "I think I'd like that." The clinic staff helped Lily prepare for the presentation, organizing a small conference where local doctors and medical students could hear her speak. On the day of the event, the room was packed, the audience buzzing with anticipation. Emma sat in the front row, her heart pounding as she watched her daughter step up to the podium. Lily adjusted the microphone, her hands steady as she began to speak. "My name is Lily Harper," she said, her voice clear and confident. "I'm 11 years old, I'm autistic, and I want to be a doctor." The room fell silent, all eyes on the young girl who stood before them with unwavering determination. "For a long time, I thought being different was a bad thing," Lily continued. "I thought it meant I couldn't do the things other people could. But now I know that being different is what makes me strong. It's what helps me see the things others miss. And I want to use that strength to help people." As Lily shared her story, Emma felt tears streaming down her face. She wasn't the only one. Around the room, many of the audience members were visibly moved, their expressions a mixture of awe and admiration. When Lily finished, the room erupted into applause, the sound echoing off the walls. Dr. Harris was the first to stand, followed by Dr. Patel and the rest of the audience. Emma couldn't help but join them, her hands clapping loudly as pride swelled in her chest. That night, as they drove home, Emma glanced at Lily in the rearview mirror. Her daughter's face was calm, but there was a quiet satisfaction in her eyes. "You were amazing today," Emma said, her voice filled with emotion. "I hope you know how proud I am of you." Lily looked up, her gaze meeting her mother's. "Thanks, Ma. I'm proud of me too." Emma laughed softly, wiping at her eyes. "You should be. You're going to do incredible things, Lily. I just know it." And for the first time in a long time, Emma felt certain that no matter what challenges lay ahead, her daughter would face them with courage, brilliance, and a heart full of determination. The applause from Lily's presentation still echoed in Emma's mind as they returned home that evening. The way the room had erupted, with doctors and professionals standing in admiration of her daughter's brilliance, was a moment Emma knew she would never forget. But for Lily, it seemed like just another step in her journey. The next morning, as Emma prepared breakfast, she glanced into the living room and saw Lily sitting on the couch, her notebook open on her lap. She was scribbling furiously, her brow furrowed in concentration. "What's on your mind this morning, Dr. Lily?" Emma teased, placing a plate of toast on the table. Lily looked up, her expression serious. "I'm thinking about the next step." Emma tilted her head, intrigued. "Next step?" "In becoming a doctor," Lily explained, setting her notebook down. "I've learned a lot, but there's so much more I need to know. I want to be ready." Emma smiled, though she couldn't help but feel a pang of concern. "You're already doing so much, sweetheart. You've got plenty of time to figure things out." "I know," Lily said, "but I don't want to waste any time. What if there's someone out there who needs my help?" Emma sat beside her, placing a hand on her daughter's shoulder. "You have the biggest heart, Lily. But remember, even doctors need to rest and take care of themselves." Lily nodded slowly, though Emma could see the wheels still turning in her mind. She decided to let it go for now, knowing that trying to stop Lily once she set her mind to something was like trying to stop the tide. The following week, Dr. Patel called Emma with unexpected news. "Emma, I've been speaking with some colleagues at a nearby university, he began. They're running a special program for gifted young learners, and I think Lily would be an excellent candidate. Emma's heart skipped a beat. Another program? Dr. Patel, she's only 11. Don't you think this is a bit much? I understand your concerns, Dr. Patel said. But this isn't just about academics. It's about nurturing her talent and giving her opportunities to grow. The program would allow her to attend advanced seminars and even assist in research projects. It's a unique opportunity, and I wouldn't suggest it if I didn't believe she could handle it. Emma sighed, her mind racing with thoughts of what this could mean for Lily. I'll talk to her about it. Thank you for thinking of her. After hanging up, Emma sat down with Lily to discuss the offer. As she explained the details, she watched her daughter's eyes light up with excitement. Do you really think they'll let me do research? Lily asked, her voice tinged with awe. I think so, Emma said with a smile. But it's a big commitment, Lily. It'll mean spending more time at the university and balancing it with your other responsibilities. I can do it, Lily said without hesitation. This is what I want, Mom. Emma nodded, her heart swelling with pride. All right, we'll give it a try. Lily's first day in the program was a whirlwind of new experiences. The university campus was bustling with activity, and Lily stood out among the older students with her quiet confidence and keen curiosity. Her mentor, Dr. Chung, was a renowned researcher in the field of pediatric neurology, and she welcomed Lily with open arms. I've heard a lot about you, Dr. Chung said as they sat down in her office. Dr. Patel and Dr. Harris both speak very highly of you. Lily blushed slightly but held her head high. I'm just here to learn. And learn you will, Dr. Chung said with a smile. Let's start with a tour of the lab. As they walked through the state-of-the-art facility, Lily's eyes widened at the sight of the advanced equipment and the bustling researchers. Dr. Chung explained the various projects they were working on, from studying brain development in children to developing treatments for neurological disorders. This is where you'll be working, Dr. Chung said, stopping at a workstation filled with microscopes and computer monitors. We'll start with some basic training, and then we'll see where your interests take you. Lily nodded, already eager to dive in. Over the next few weeks, she immersed herself in the program, soaking up knowledge like a sponge. She spent hours analyzing data, observing experiments, and asking insightful questions that often left the researchers impressed. One day, as Lily was reviewing a set of MRI scans, she noticed something unusual. She tilted her head, studying the images closely before calling Dr. Chung over. What is it, Lily? Dr. Chung asked, leaning over her shoulder. This scan, Lily said, pointing to a specific area. There's a shadow here that doesn't look right. Could it be a tumor? Dr. Cheng's eyes widened as she examined the image. You're right. How did you notice that? It's different from the others, Lily explained. The texture and shape aren't normal. Dr. Cheng nodded, clearly impressed. Good eye, Lily. I'll flag this for further review. You might have just caught something that could save a patient's life. Lily's chest swelled with pride, though she quickly turned her focus back to the scans. For her, it wasn't about recognition, it was about making a difference. As Lily's reputation grew, so did the attention she received. News of the young prodigy spread beyond the university, and soon, reporters were reaching out to Emma for interviews. At first, Emma was hesitant to expose Lily to the spotlight, worried about how it might affect her. But when Lily expressed interest in sharing her story, Emma decided to support her. I want people to know that being different isn't a bad thing, Lily said during one interview. It's what makes me who I am. Her words resonated with audiences, and Lily quickly became an inspiration to many. Parents of autistic children reached out to Emma, sharing their stories and expressing their gratitude for Lily's courage and determination. For the first time, Emma realized just how far her daughter's influence could reach. Despite her growing fame, Lily remained grounded. She continued to balance her studies, her volunteer work at the clinic, and her time at the university with remarkable focus. But Emma could see the toll it was beginning to take on her. Late nights spent studying, early mornings at the lab, and the constant pressure to perform were starting to wear on her. One evening, as Lily sat at her desk, her head resting on her hand, Emma walked in and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Sweetheart, you've been working so hard. Maybe it's time for a break. Lily looked up, her eyes tired but determined. I can't stop now, Mom. There's so much to do. I know, Emma said softly. But even doctors need rest. You can't help others if you don't take care of yourself. Lily hesitated, her pen hovering over her notebook. What if I let everyone down? You could never let anyone down, Emma said firmly. You're already doing more than anyone could have asked for. And taking care of yourself is just as important as taking care of others. Lily nodded slowly, her shoulders relaxing. Maybe a little break would be good. Emma smiled, pulling her daughter into a hug. You deserve it, Lily. And no matter what, I'm so proud of you. The next day, Emma and Lily spent the afternoon at the park, enjoying the fresh air and the simple pleasure of being together. Lily brought her notebook, of course, but she spent most of the time watching the ducks in the pond and laughing at a dog chasing its tail. As they sat on a bench, Emma turned to her daughter with a smile. You know, Lily, I think you're going to change the world. Lily tilted her head, considering her mother's words. Maybe, but I think I just want to help people. Emma's smile grew wider. And that's exactly how you'll change the world.